Welcome, friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Jen Hilman, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you some massage techniques to help relieve sinus pressure and to help aid in lymphatic drainage. So when you are facing that cold and allergy season, there are some simple techniques that you can use to actually help relieve some of that sinus pressure and to help your sinuses drain. And so I'm going to show you some of those techniques today. And we are also going to be using a couple of essential oils that I love that are super beneficial for respiratory support. And I am very grateful and happy to introduce my dear friend, Miss Sarah Ellen. Hi! She is an acupuncturist and an herbalist. You can check out some of her links below and get you some good healing holistic creams that she makes and learn more about her healing practice as well. So without any further ado, you can grab a partner, grab a friend, or you can even practice these techniques on yourself. And we are going to just jump right in and start with some of our essential oils. So the oils that I'm going to be using today are peppermint and lemon. So you probably already know or think of peppermint as a great respiratory oil. Lemon is also really supportive for the respiratory system as well. So I'm going to start by just placing one drop into my hand. And when you are using high quality therapeutic grade oils, a little bit goes a long way. So one drop is really all that you need. And I'll just rub my hands together to spread the oil, and then covering your partner's nose and mouth, or even your own if you're doing this for yourself. Just invite your partner to take some deep breaths. And especially with this peppermint oil, is pretty strong and powerful stuff. So you can hold your hands, a comfortable distance away from their face. And they're still going to be breathing in the therapeutic vapors of these oils. And taking some long, slow, deep breaths will automatically help to calm and soothe the nervous system. And that slow, steady breath will draw the vapors of these essential oils deeper and deeper into the lungs and help to open up those clogged passageways through the sinuses, through the nose, and even down into the throat. Now from here, I'm going to just scoop my hands underneath her neck. And this will allow me to begin to apply the oil onto the back of her neck. So applying the oil topically is really beneficial for allowing those molecules to be absorbed through the skin, into the bloodstream, and move through the whole body. And sometimes if your partner has skin sensitivities, you might want to use a carrier oil or use something to dilute the essential oil that you're working with. And oftentimes, 9 times out of 10, when I apply the oil to my hands first, spread it around, rubbing my hands together, and then let them breathe the oil, some of the intensity of that oil starts to dissipate. And then applying the oil directly to the back of the neck usually seems to be okay. I don't really have a lot of reactions from people when I apply the oil in the way that I'm demonstrating to you. So, be mindful. You can check in with your partner before you use essential oils on them. And if you use them in the way that I'm demonstrating, you shouldn't have any adverse reactions. So once I've applied the oil onto the back of the neck, there's still going to be some residual oil on my hand, but again, it's starting to dissipate. So you can also gently apply oil across the front of the throat. Now, bearing in mind that this is a very tender and delicate area, so we don't want to use a lot of pressure here. This is really just enough to start smoothing the oil across the front of the throat where you can feel some of that drainage down the throat. Then I also like to come across the top of the chest or the top of the lungs. So this is another area where congestion can linger in the chest and in the lungs. If your partner's dealing with that deep cough, applying peppermint oil directly to the chest and to the lungs can be very, very helpful for opening up those passageways. And I'm going to go ahead and jump in with the lemon essential oil. So when I'm using multiple oils in a treatment, I will often just layer them, doing one and then the next and then the next. So we've applied our peppermint oil, so next I'll follow it up with the lemon. Following the same protocol for application, I'll just drop one drop into my hand, then rubbing my hands together to start to dissipate the oil, and cover Sarah's nose and mouth and let her take some deep breaths. And while your partner is breathing deeply, this is also a really great time for you to take some deep, long breaths with them so that you enter into that relaxation space as well. And I usually will invite my partner to take 3 deep breaths, maybe more if that's what's needed, but 3 long, full, deep breaths is a good place to start. And then just like we did before, after they take some deep breaths, I'm going to gently scoop my hands into the back of the neck, applying the oil to the back of the neck. So the back of the neck behind the hairline is going to be less sensitive than the skin at the front of the throat. So again, this is just helping to mitigate any skin sensitivities or reactions to the essential oil itself. And after applying to the back of the neck, I can just gently glide my hands across the front of the throat to apply that oil there and help support a release of any congestion. And then coming onto the top of the chest and gently walking my hands right to left, really applying the pressure through the palm of my hand and allowing the oil to spread across the top of the chest and penetrate into the lungs. So again, when you are using therapeutic grade essential oils, just breathing in those oils can have a really profound effect. So you or your partner may already start to notice an easier airflow, an easier breath, just from breathing in the oils. But we can take that a step further by working some specific pressure points on the face that help to connect with the sinuses and help to relieve pressure in those areas. So the first place that we are going to begin is right along the side of the nose here. So wherever your partner's nose just kind of comes around in that little curve, there's just a little divot here, and you can feel it on your own face here. That is one of the sinus pressure points. So I'm placing my fingers, one on either side of the nostrils here, and I'm applying a gentle pressure downward, and I'm going to hold this for 5 to 10 seconds, a nice firm pressure. I'm not pushing too hard, but I'm definitely giving it some solid firm pressure here for 5 to 10, maybe 15 seconds, and then I'm gliding my fingertips out, kind of tracing the line of the cheekbone all the way out to the hairline. And I'll repeat that 2 more times, coming into those little pressure points there. And if you do this on yourself, you can even practice on yourself right now. You'll feel like some very specific points. And when you apply that pressure there, you'll feel a sensation that lets you know, like, oh yeah, okay, that's where my sinuses are. You can feel it there. And that can also give you a gauge of how much pressure you want to use. And then after a little hold, glide the fingertips out, all the way out to the hairline. And we'll we'll repeat that one more time. I like to work in cycles of 3 or cycles of 5, depending on the amount of time that I have or the intensity of the congestion or pressure that we're working with. And just repeating that cycle. Now from here, we will move up to the second sinus point, which is in a little bit of a tender or delicate area, so we want to be real careful. Again, it could be helpful to practice on yourself a time or two before you start working on a partner. And if you are working on a partner or practicing with someone right away, just be sure to check in with them, get their feedback, and make sure that you're in the right placement, you're using the right amount of pressure. So this second pressure point we're going to work is just inside the eyebrow. You'll feel, and you can feel on your own self, like a little notch in between the occipital orbit or the eye socket there. Just inside the eyebrow is just a little notch, almost like a little opening in the bone structure there. So that is the second pressure point that we want to access. So same as before, we're going to find that spot with your fingertips, being very mindful and attentive. And we're going to use, an assertive amount of pressure, but not invasive, right? So it's a firm, mindful amount of pressure for 5 to 10 to 15 seconds. And then, same idea, we're going to just gently trace the line along the inside of the eyebrow. And you can take that all the way out along the temples and going all the way out to the hairline. Right? So the pattern is very similar. We're going to start at that pressure point, finding the sweet spot, applying a steady pressure for a few seconds here, and then gently tracing the line along the inner eyebrow. Now, as I begin to trace this line outward, I am using a little less pressure than when I'm actually targeting the sinus pressure point, especially because the skin here is very delicate. So, I don't want to use too much pressure along the face. But when I'm coming in and working the specific pressure point, I can give about 35 to 40% pressure here. Holding steady for 3, 2, and 1. And as I trace that line out to the hairline, I'm really only giving about 15 to 20% pressure here. So significantly less pressure as I move out to the hairline. Now there's one more sinus pressure point I'll show you right here on the face, and that is actually coming just above the eyebrow, so almost in the same place, just on the top of the eyebrow instead of the bottom. So here you can come in and place your thumbs just to the insides of the eyebrows and leaning in. You can give a little bit more pressure here because this is not as delicate of an area as like the inside of the eye socket, right? So you can lean in a little bit stronger pressure here. But same idea, we're going to apply that pressure for a few seconds, and then we'll begin to follow that line out all the way to the edge. And we'll repeat that cycle 2 more times. And I'm noticing here, out of the 3 pressure points that we have worked, that Sarah's getting a little pink, and she's getting the most blood flow here at this third pressure point, and that's kind of indicating to me that this is maybe the spot where she's feeling the most stagnation or the most congestion. So this is also going to be an indicator of where I can, give the most attention or the most focus. And so after repeating our pressure point sequence, I really like to come in and start to trace my thumbs along the space between the eyebrows. This also just feels really good. It almost feels like rubbing out the wrinkles. So this is just very relaxing for the brow in general, but it does help to move some of that congestion and help to get things flowing again, especially if things have been stagnant in this area for a while. And as you can see, she's getting more pink in the area, so we're getting more blood flow. And that blood flow is what we're looking for, because the blood is your body's natural healing agent, right? Our white blood cells are carrying all of these healing cells into the area. It's going to help the body repair itself naturally. It's going to help the body fight off any infectious invaders. The red blood cells are carrying oxygen and nutrients to the body, so helping the tissue to repair itself and grow strong. So we love seeing that blood flow. We love seeing that pink or red flushing of blood into the area that you're working. So that's a good sign. So I'm just tracing this line all the way across the top of the forehead, all the way to her hairline. And then from here, I often like to continue that motion and spreading out across the forehead. So starting from the insides of the eyebrows and tracing a wider and wider pathway with each pass. So starting right down the middle and then tracing wider and wider lines as I go. Eventually coming all the way across the forehead and out to the edges here. And this is a nice place to start to massage gentle circles around the temples. And this can be really relaxing. It can feel really good. And the temples can also be a little bit tender or sensitive. So again, I would recommend only using maybe about 20% of your pressure here. So it doesn't have to be a lot to make contact and to get things flowing. And it's very soothing and relaxing. And I'm going to come back down to the cheeks, and here I'm just using 2 peace fingers, going from the outsides of the bridge of the nose and just tracing those lines along the cheekbone. And we can move through that cycle 3 or 5 times. And as I'm applying this pressure and doing this movement, I'm really thinking about moving the sinus fluid. So if it's been all pooled and congested in the nose or behind the eyes, I really imagine that these techniques are physically helping to move that congestion along, so it can be circulated through the body and cleansed by the lymphatic system. So these are some techniques that you can do directly onto the face. And I would like to show you just a couple of techniques that you can do to help remove any congestion through the throat and the chest. So we'll work one side and then the other, and it can be helpful to just gently roll your partner's head to one side, opening up a little more access along the throat. Now, when we are applying any sort of lymphatic drainage or lymphatic type massage, the pressure is very, very light because the flow of the lymphatic fluid is like above, it's more superficial than the musculature itself. So we want to use a gentle pressure, really, really light, almost feather light touch to access the lymphatic system without, when you apply more pressure than that, you kind of bypass the lymph and start to go into the muscular system. So we're just using a gentle, gentle pressure, maybe 5 to 10% here. And I'm moving from the base of the ear down towards the collarbone. Now, in general, in a lymphatic massage, you want to move in the direction towards the lymph nodes. And you may be thinking, well, there's lymph nodes all in the neck. Maybe we should be moving it up. But in this case, because there's all this congestion in the head and in the throat, we actually want to help move that away from the area. So the lymph nodes that I'm working towards are here in the armpit. So I'm actually helping to move this lymphatic fluid away from the lymph nodes in the neck, which could be like overworked or overcrowded, like too many trains in the station, if you will. So we want to move some of that traffic down to these, more distant lymph nodes so that the lymph can be cleansed and any toxins, any bacteria or infections can be cleansed out of the body. So this is just a really nice, gentle technique that can feel really relaxing and can be really, really effective for, moving any of the lymphatic fluid or just general congestion away from the head, nose, sinuses, throat. So we just clear all of that out with this gentle lymphatic technique. And then we can start to work the other side, just gently guiding your partner's head the other way and opening up the other side of the neck. You just want to allow their head to rest in a comfortable position. If it feels good, you can use one hand to support their head, but if they can rest comfortably, you can use both hands to apply the technique. And same idea, just working from the base of the ear down towards the collarbones with a gentle, gentle pressure. So we're moving all of that drainage down towards the axillary lymph system. And it can be tempting, if your partner has any neck tension or tightness in the neck and shoulders, you'll be able to feel those muscles underneath your fingertips, and it can be tempting to start to go into some deeper pressure massage here. And there's certainly a time and a place for that. When you're helping to relieve tension, you're wanting to help, work out any knots or work out any trigger points. And in this technique, what we're working here, our goal really is not muscular relief. Our goal here is really like releasing the lymphatic fluid and helping to improve drainage and circulation. So even if you feel some tight places along the neck or along the tops of the shoulder, just remember what your intention here is, and what you're really working to do is to move the lymph fluid. If you have more time with your partner, you can combine the techniques, do a little bit of muscular relief as well as the lymphatic drainage. But if you just have a little bit of time and your partner's primary complaint is sinus pressure or congestion, then that is the work that we want to do. So really, really gentle, really simple techniques. It doesn't take a lot of training. It doesn't take a lot of practice even to be able to get a lot of relief here. And then you can gently guide your partner's head back to center. And one final technique that I'll show you today before we close out our massage time is a technique called Tapotement, which is a type of tapping. And this is a technique we'll use for the lungs. And so I'm making just a really light, gentle fist, kind of like a cup. And we're just going to gently tap across the top of the chest. You can also change the shape of your hand, opening out the fingers, hollowing out the inner part of your hand, and make more of that kind of cupping action. And this really acts almost like a suction cup, so it helps to break up any congestion in the lungs themselves. You can even come along the sides of the lungs. Of course, when you're working on a woman, you want to be mindful of the breast tissue. If you're working on a man, that's a little less of a concern. This cupping can be really, really effective. You can also do this on the back of the lungs. And it's really, really great for loosening up any phlegm or any congestion that's stuck in the lungs. And after doing any type of tapping or tapotement, we like to just smooth it out with some nice, gentle, broad palm strokes. You can also just have a moment of stillness, a moment of grounding. And at the end of a massage, I always like to just take a moment to give gratitude and thanks for this person that I am connecting with, and give thanks for the opportunity to share this healing work. If it feels good, you could offer them another round of essential oils, or once they come off the table, you can offer them a drop into their hand so that they can use the oils themselves. And I always like to empower my clients with some tools that they can take home with them. So if you want to offer that to your friends and your loved ones as well, it's a really wonderful gift. Thank you so much for joining me. It's such a pleasure to be here with you today. And don't forget to check out my friend, Miss Sarah Ellen, has lots of wonderful gifts and offerings for you to enjoy as well. Don't forget to leave your comments and subscribe to the new channel. And I will look forward to sharing more massage and yoga techniques with you. Have a wonderful day. Until next time, namaste.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've been enjoying these new videos and that you've had a chance to subscribe to the new channel. Now, I am so excited about the year ahead, and I have an incredible new program I can't wait to share with you. If you have been struggling with chronic or reoccurring pain for the last year, 2 years, or even more, or if you've seen all the doctors, but nobody seems to be able to really find a problem, or if you've gotten onto expensive prescription medications that seem to be causing more problems than they're solving, then you are going to love my all-new pain-free lifestyle revolution. And as a gift for the new year, I am now offering my one-on-one wellness overview strategy session, normally valued at $500, as a complimentary gift from me to you. Now, my time is limited, so I will not be able to schedule a call with every single person, but if you go ahead and click the link below, you can fill out a quick survey that will determine if you qualify to receive this free gift and find out if the new pain-free lifestyle revolution is right for you. So if you are sick and tired of the runaround, if you are tired of being held back by the pain in your life, if you are ready to take the next step to truly overcoming your pain, don't wait. Click the link below and schedule your strategy session with me today.